Episode of the Everblack podcast is brought to you by Deathwish, Hotrods and Kustoms. Check out their Instagram for all their new t-shirts, caps, beanies, cups, and the all-new Atomic Death lineup. Ben, oi, thanks for joining us on the show, mate. How's everything going over there? It looks like it's sunny LA.
Yeah, mate. We've got. I live on the beach in Santa Monica, and it's a nice day. I think there's this nice crossover period where Australia and the US have similar weather, but even when it's cold here, it's still like 20 odd degrees. So we get down the beach. You're either running along the beach or you're swimming in it. I'm not a big beach person, but yeah, it's pretty lovely around here.
That's good. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of rain and a lot of floods and stuff at the moment, but
Yeah, my mum and sister up in Brisbane. My sister got stuck on the bridge the other day, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna clean my car." So she's like cleaned her car while she was waiting for the bridge to clear.
Man, I hope they're all right. They're okay.
Yeah, she's fine.
That's
fine.
good. That's really good. Yeah, this is really blasting. There we go. All right, but yeah, man, you're coming down for Supanova Melbourne, which is going to be massive. I mean, you've done Supanova before, right? You've been.
I actually haven't, mate. It's my first time. I'm a Supernova virgin,
mate. You're gonna have the best time.
Tell me about it. Like I have no idea what I'm getting myself in for. I just know that the game's big and Supernova's big, and between the two, I'm going to be meeting a lot of people, and we're kind of out of the pandemic, by and large. So I'm vibing, mate. I'm vibing, Nev.
Yeah. Have you done many cons? Do you do many cons over there?
No, look, during the pandemic, it was all virtual stuff. So I've done a lot of virtual signings, nothing in person, which I'm kind of looking forward to. In fact, I know a lot of the cast of Apex Legends are just like itching to get to some cons. So I think Angeli, who plays Rampart, she went to London, and everyone else has just been waiting for it to sort of kick back off. So no one else is allowed into Australia, or not when we booked this gig. So I'm the first to come down there and do an Apex gig. So that's kind of an honor.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be huge. How do those online signings work?
So it's usually through a company called Streamily, or I'll stream through Twitch myself. I'll just call out and say I'll be doing a signing. And Streamily just have, people just log on and they buy a poster of yours, and then you announce you're streaming, and then people log into your stream and watch as you sign the poster. Shout out to the fans, and it's sort of done that way.
And they send
it out for Christmas. And sometimes you do it with other characters as well. So they'll be, in Zoom or in what do we use for that? Not Zoom. On Twitch, you can have sort of multiple screens.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's a lot of fun. It'd be much more fun in person for sure.
Oh, wait till you see all the people down there, hang out and, get some stuff signed. Of course, pick your brains about all your amazing work. I mean, of course,
I've been looking forward to getting back to Melbourne. I haven't been there in 2 years. I have to start wearing black again, mate. They don't let you wear black in California.
It's very sunny. It's very bright.
Yeah. The light is different. Yeah.
But I mean, as an actor, I mean, you've done some amazing stuff, dude. Like as you mentioned before, Apex Legends, your voice of Fuse, Tyre. I've always made
he's actually named after Tuesday. So Tuesday is Tears Day,
and that's today.
Baby. Yeah,
there
so Tyre hasn't been. No one's heard Tyr's voice yet, and it's kind of interesting because Tyr is part of God of War Ragnarok, which is coming out this year sometime. They're frantically finishing the game, it's going to be huge, man. It's going to be epic. And yeah, so Tyr is this. What is he? He's 9'6" or something. So yeah, big giant of a man. So that was a lot of fun. That was all mocap on the mocap stage here in Sony's Santa Monica lot. And yeah, man, it's thank you. Yeah, I've been pretty blessed to come over here, and I had a career in Melbourne or in Australia. Did a lot of theater work, then a bit of film and TV, and then sort of came over here to work in film and TV, and predominantly have worked in games, which has just been a blessing, as I said.
How's the mocap stuff though? I mean, how is that, compared to doing it, the traditional way?
I think mocap is it feels to me a lot like theater. It is a lot about your physicality. It is all like one take. So you'll have scenes that run like 10, cut scenes that run, 8 to 10 minutes, and it's all got to be in one take. And there's like, up to 10 people like running around this stage with, clothes that are too tight. So you got to definitely make sure that you're, you got to make sure that you fit, just so that you look like a big fat slob on the sound stage. They call it a volume, the stage. And then but then it's also like film, because you have like the film camera in front of you, so you have your mic up, you have the film camera like right here, so you can't do any like kissing scenes or anything because two people have like this big camera in front of you, so you're always like mashing the cameras and stuff. That's kind of funny. But otherwise I love it. It's actually, because when I came over here I did do a bit of film, a bit of TV and film, but I sort of missed theater a lot, and this to me reminded me a lot of theater. So it's the same kind of connection you have with someone else, with one exception, that is that my character is 9 foot tall, and so someone would walk around behind me with a big like my face on a pole, and so everyone else was looking up at my face, and my eye line to everyone else was on their crotch. So that's a hard way to act with someone if you're looking at their crotch the whole time, or an easy way, depending on which way you look at
it. But he's the Norse god of war, right?
Yeah, he's the Norse god of war, and he's like originally kind of Odin is the All-Father, but sort of going back in the lore, in the pantheon, Tyr was kind of the original god of all gods. He's sort of the god of fairness and justice, and but also war. So he's a little bit of an antithesis to Kratos, who's like just an out and out badass.
Yeah.
A little more of a measured justice, a measured rage is what Tyr's about. Yeah.
So when it comes to obviously, the Norse mythology and creating this character, did you have free reign? Did you get to play with the voice and his movements, and did you go back through, Norse mythology and research, and how deep does that go?
Very deep, very deep. So I'd already studied a lot of the mythology, a lot of the Norse mythology, and when I came to this role, when I first came to this role, I actually thought it was for a completely different project. And because they give you these auditions and they're like, all right, so he's a sergeant at arms, he's a bit of a military commander. We're thinking like Midwest, something like. And so I walk into the room as like Brad Pitt from like Inglourious Bastards, that kind of hard ass kind of dude. Turned out to be completely different to that. But in terms of like building out Tyr, like Matt Sophos, the writer, and Eric Williams, the director of that game, and Corey Barlog as well, the master in chief. They already have such a strong idea of what the story is and what the character is, and how that character fits into Kratos's journey and Atreus's journey, and every other sort of character in that universe. And so, because it's physically Tyr is very different to everyone else. He's such a big bastard, but then from a voice point of view, you do want your voice print to be slightly different. And in fact, like when I came to Tyr, I was probably a little too close to Kratos's voice in a sense, and so I made some adjustments early on to find him. And then once he slots in, then you're just going to set every day, and he's kind of there. But in terms of like his backstory, and like obviously Tyr has some pretty famous, anyone who knows Norse mythology knows that Tyr, one of the famous stories about Tyr is Fenrir, the wolf, had gotten free, and the only way to capture him was to they created this thread made from like cat's tears and like crazy stuff, and the only way they could bind Fenrir was to put him in this thread, and the only way they could get him to stand still was for Tyr to put his hand in Fenrir's mouth and say, look, it's not a trap, I'm just putting my hand in your mouth, and if it's a trap, then you can bite my hand off. And it was a trap, so Fenrir bit his hand off. So Tyr, and then so there's a lot of lore that does fit into this game, but then Santa Monica Studios, they depart from that whenever they want, still keeping with the story they're building, and so Tyr has a different journey again to what's sort of famous in lore. A lot of fun though, a lot of fun to find him.
That's awesome. Obviously being that big of a character, do you sort of naturally go for that big deep voice? And I mean, is that where you sort of start?
That's probably, yeah, that's where I start. Definitely where I start. It's not where I ended up. And in fact, like a lot of I think his nature and not to give too much away, but where we find Tia, when we first find Tia, he's been through some stuff. And so, what does that do to a god who's been through a lot and is literally just trying to find his feet? Like, what is, where it's a broken kind of situation we find him in, and where's he going to go from there? So yeah, that's naturally where you start. But then from the physicality point of view, you get the suit on.
Yeah,
I'm 6 foot, so I'm not a short man by any stretch. But when you get into the volume and you start to, when you're standing on the stage and you look up at the monitors around the stage and you actually see your character in relation to the other characters, and he's like 4 foot taller than the lead character. And then you go to walk around, and everyone does this as soon as they get into mocap, is the first thing you want to do is just do all kind of crazy moves. So, I'm dancing around, I'm flossing, I'm like kicking a football. I'm like, what does it look like to bowl a fastball? As Tia, it's pretty funny. The Americans are sitting around going, what the hell is this dude doing? What is that game? Like, yeah, it's Aussie rules.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny to do all that sort of stuff. But then, the animation directors in there, they're like, look, when you're walking, he's so tall that, how do I put this? His legs are too close together. And so one of the kind of key things you got to do is put a big old pair of balls between his legs and sort of open stance up and try and the way you walk is very dictated by his anatomy that you don't necessarily possess, if that makes sense.
That's super interesting, eh?
Yeah.
I didn't know how it worked that way.
Yeah. And that happens in every job I've ever done. There's always been a little key into the character. And, for Tia, he's the god of justice. So, the way he held his hands was key for me. And what he did with how he walked with his thighs was kind of, and you would see it. You could see it straight away. As soon as you made that little adjustment to the way you walked as Ben, you could see Tia looked a lot more like menacing and kind of where he needed to be.
That's awesome. I mean, the game, though, I mean, you were saying before, it was delayed because Christopher Judge, who voices Kratos, he had some health issues. How did, obviously his fellow actors and the team support him through that,
Well, Chris, he's he's legend. Like,
yeah, man.
He's a big guy as well. Like, I remember walking on the set. I think he stands 6'2", and we're doing the scene, which is the scene from the trailer where he picks me up and puts me on the wall, and then Tia stands up and he's like 4 foot taller. But Chris picks me up the way we do it with the stunt work and puts me against the wall, and then I'm supposed to stand up another 4 feet, but I'm literally standing up on a box, and I'm only like this tall above him. But he had just it was hip surgery or something.
Yeah,
there was two things. There was that, and then there was also the pandemic comes in, and we're like, all right, how do we shoot when it was pretty strict over here in terms of the union over here and how you could work on stages. And Sony was super careful about everyone, and thankfully no one really got sick, but half of it was that. But he came on set and he had just had a hip operation. I didn't even find out until like later, but he was still like going at it.
Wow.
So the man's made of stone. I love Chris Judge. Like, he's a good friend of mine now, and I would do anything for him. Like, but then we'd be doing scenes where we're literally running around and like jumping on the ground and like sprinting off. And at first he was a little ginger, doing these scenes.
Yeah, understandable.
But then after our break and we came back, and the dude, I think he just like put on another like 20 pounds of muscle. And I walked in, I was like, I think it was Christmas time. So I was like, dude, you look stacked, you just look like a linebacker in NFL. It's just like a monster. And I was like, I'd been working out. I was like, I thought I looked good at the time. And he walks in, I'm just like, all right, there's the real God of War.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, another thing is we mentioned Apex Legends before, and Fuse.
Yeah,
he's pretty Australian.
Fusey, Australian. Bloody Fusey. What to say about Fusey? He is a mix between every like VB drinking 70s cricketer. I'm thinking like David Boone and all those boys. And like, you know, the better parts of the footy show. And then, but then also like a bit of Crocodile Dundee, a bit of Steve Irwin. And then, you know, and then he's a lot of my old man and my uncles when I was growing up. So, and then you kind of got to drop him down a bit lower and just talk about explosives and not give a crap. Hey, and that's, you know, when he first came out, everyone's like, wait, he's pretty Aussie. Why isn't he dropping the F's and C's? And I was like, wow, you know, I think it was mainly to do with the American sort of sponsorship laws, not sponsorship, censorship laws.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's super Aussie. And Sam Gill, who writes him, is a Kiwi, but he's an honorary Aussie as far as I'm concerned. Him and I had a lot of fun just, you know, working out the most Aussie things we could say. And one of them is a Melbourne reference, which very few people would get. And it's rhyming slang for head. And he says, hold on to your 3KZs, Motherload's coming. And 3KZ was an AM radio station in Melbourne in the like 80s, you know.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I guess everywhere the Americans just want to, or everyone around the world who isn't Australia wants to, you know all about that. Because I guess we're a bit of a, I don't know, there's stereotypes about us down here.
Well, I think like, you know, when I came over here, I was like, oh, geez, it's a bit sketchy. And because we moved into a place in the east of LA. So, you know, Highland Park, which is kind of more gentrified now, but that was like, you know, a very heavily Hispanic gang area. We were kind of outside of that, but still a little dodgy. You know, we heard gunshots and there was definitely like sketchiness around us. And so when I moved to the States, I was like, yeah, gun violence is a real thing. And like, I just got to keep my wits about me. And man, if anyone ever pulled a gun on me, you know, I'd freak out. And, you know, not to go into another story, but that actually did happen. Not a gun on us, but gun like right near us. And but don't listen, Mum, if you listen to this, that's, you know, but she, but you know, then you talk to a lot of Americans, they're like, we ran into a guy here the other day and he's like, look, I'm from New York. And he's like, tell me something. I want to go to Australia, but like, you know, the spider's really that bad. I was like, yeah. You know, Nari, my wife, she said, look, as long as you don't go into the woodshed, you should be fine. And, you know, don't worry about the big ones, worry about the little ones.
That's it. It's true.
Yeah.
I was talking to a band, I don't know if you have a band called Necrogoblicon from over LA. Like, awesome dudes. And they've never toured here. And I was telling them about drop bears.
Love the old drop bears.
And they were like, what? Like, yeah, man, yeah, drop bears. And he's Googling it. To him. He's like, oh, man.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So you might know some of the people I know, because I used to love a bit of metal.
Yeah?
Yeah, I used to follow. I mean, I had a band in Melbourne in the 90s called Foot, but we played with guys like Ricane and Blood Duster and Christbait and dude. Yeah.
You speak it. So you were in like death metal bands and stuff?
Not death metal. We were more like a grindcore, kind of little more, not math rock like Ricane, but definitely like noisy, guitar edged, like
man,
more like a Bud kind of situation. Shout out to Brett O'Reilly, my old mate from Ricane. If he's listening, he might tune in.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I've seen you do your acoustic stuff, like you're playing, but yeah, that's really cool, man. So singer, guitarist, obviously back.
Singer, guitarist, yeah, not a great singer. Used to blow my voice out every night. That was for sure.
Part of the fun, man. It's part of the fun. Yeah. I do that now. I'm in 2 death metal bands, and it's
serious. Yeah, I love it.
It's the best fun.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I actually grew up. So Jason Mashevsky is a friend of mine. His brother Simon, who was the guitarist in Christbait, and his friend Simon, his brother Simon, was my best mate growing up. So, you know, I'd go over to Simon's. They lived in Wood End, and they'd just be like writing Christbait tunes in the next room, like, you know, God and like, sick.
That's sick. Incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
I saw it as a metal show, and I was like, dude, all right, let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'll do a bit of everything. If you can't tell, there's the nerdy shit and the metal shit. So
gotcha.
it's a bit of.
I see the He-Man in the background. Is that what
there is? Yeah, He-Man. There's a Hordak, and the rest is like Ghostbusters and Turtles and stuff. And then, my
Nice.
random metal things. But
Yeah.
hey, to me, a lot of this goes hand in hand. A lot of metal dudes love the nerdy stuff and the video games, and I do find that a lot of metal vocalists can transition over to the voice work stuff. I've known a few
Yeah.
dabble in voice work.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of that, especially for like I audition a lot for monsters and so a lot of that guttural stuff and like, dude, every like combat game, there's always the efforts like auditions. So they give you all the lines that you've got to do, and then there's like efforts at the end. So there's like, getting shot and dying by fire, and you're like, so that you have to be trained so that you don't blow your voice out at the end of every audition. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, those effort sounds, they crack me up the way they get directed as well, because sometimes they'll ask for like, all right, so this next one, you're kind of like, this is just like jumping off a ledge, and like as soon as I tell you this, you're never going to listen. If you play Apex, you're never going to hear Fuse the same way, but like Fuse like dropping from height, the direction on that is like he's kind of just taking he's kind of pooping. He's kind of taking a satisfying poop. You're like, huh? You're like, really gonna use that? And they're like, yeah, it sounds like he's dropping from a height. It sounds like he's dropping something.
Oh man. Hey, that's something I want to get into. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna look into doing some voicey stuff.
You should, man. That mic sounds good. That room sounds good.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it for a while. But who knows? I don't know where to get into it. I don't know where to start. But I'll, maybe I'll do some real estate voiceovers.
Oh, dude. Like,
who knows?
Yeah. In Melbourne, I was doing a lot of commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And I had a job that I was going to during the day. And then at lunchtime, it was in South Melbourne. And I'd go across the road to Triple M or Austereo, and I'd do radio voiceovers and then come back to my job in the afternoon. So I just making two lots of incomes.
Hey, that's me. Usually me. I'm doing stuff in the office at work on lunch breaks, and and tagging back in and doing the thing. You got to do it, man.
Where are you? Where are you exactly?
I'm on the Gold Coast, brother.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Well, we're coming up for the Supanova and Gold Coast as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're promoting the Melbourne one,
of course,
and then they promote the Gold Coast one separately. I don't know, but I'm definitely up there in Gold Coast as well.
Oh, that'll be awesome, man. Hey, I'll be there. I mean,
around?
Obviously, I'm promoting the Melbourne one right now, but I'll definitely. What the hell was that? Definitely be up for that Gold Coast one, because I go every year. Brisbane, Gold Coast.
Oh, dude, yeah, come and say hello. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. But another thing that you do is the General Hux. You're the voice of General Hux in the Lego Star Wars and Resistance. My son, get this, my son's name is Hux.
No way.
He's redhead as well.
No way.
Just turned out that way. But yeah, he's out there somewhere.
But General Hux, he was the first decent thing I booked over here, because the Star Wars Resistance was we recorded that 4 years ago now, and then that scene in Star Wars Lego was recorded last year, I think, or just before the Christmas special came out. But yeah, they wanted a voice match for Donald Gleason, and I just put this thing down like one of the numerous auditions. You just like throw it out there, and then they're like, "Yep." Then my agent calls me. He's like, "Yeah, you're going to be in Star Wars as General Hux." And people say like that term, "fall off your chair." Actually, like, it wasn't like I fell off my chair because I couldn't function, but I definitely like dropped to my knees. I was like, "Yes, we can book stuff here. It's great." Awesome. But that was a lot of fun. That was a ton of fun, because it was pre-COVID when we first recorded that. We were all in a room, like there was like $1 million worth of microphones in the room. Bobby, who was in the room with me, what's his name? Bobby from SNL was like to the right of me, and then this guy D. Bradley Baker, who incidentally is like the master of voices. His animal sounds are like, he's the guy. So he was opposite me, and then there's like a few other casts in me, and I was just like, holy crap, this is wild.
That would have been incredible, because my son, he loves that. He loves, obviously he's at that age where he loves all the Star Wars and Lego Star Wars and everything like that. So when I told him, I said I'd be talking to you. He was like, "What?" I was like,
sick.
yeah, boy,
yeah.
Yeah,
Hux is fun. I don't have anything else coming up for him, but Disney, I'm here. I'm ready for that General Hux special.
there you go. I mean, you can dig pretty deep in that character. I feel like they've sort of, even though he sort of died in the end, but there's lots to see. There's lots you could dig into it. Hear that, Disney Plus? Back that truck up.
There's a pretty popular hashtag in the Twitter sphere called Kylux, which is shout out to my Kylux peeps, and that is where that they ship Kylo Ren and General Hux as a couple. They're like,
wow,
they were at each other the whole time, but like we think we know why they were.
Yeah. There's a bit of tension.
Yeah, a lot of tension. Which plays out in that Star Wars Lego scene,
It does. Yeah, it does. It's hilarious. Oh man. So of course, I mean, what do you got coming up after Nova?
We will do Nova in Melbourne, then Gold Coast, and then we fly back the day after we finish Gold Coast. There's some Apex Legends sort of next season stuff I've got to record. We're still doing some stuff with Ragnarok, God of War, so that'll come out, and then there'll be all the media around that. There's a couple other games, like these games, like there's a couple other games, but like you can't talk about them until like they announce them. So like you just sit there twiddling your thumbs, going, "I wish I could tell you about those two particular games."
Oh, come on, mate! It's me.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. It's the only clue I'll give you is like I'm a huge Skyrim fan, like huge Skyrim.
Okay.
I played all the Fallout. I have 100 plus hours on Skyrim, and this is in that realm. And I'm just like, all right, like a kind of like a Jon Snow kind of guy. So we'll see.
Trying to dig through the hints there.
Yeah, go on.
Hey, oh, mate, all right.
Like before God of War was announced, like I couldn't give any clues. I'd say to my friends, all right, so what's one of the biggest games that's ever been made, and they're making another one? I'm in that, and they'd be like, I don't know. Couldn't be God of War. What about? And I'd just be like, all right, I'm not saying anything.
Is it Tetris? No.
I'm the lead voice in Tetris.
Snake.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're way off, dude. You're way off. Oh, mate, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get it out of you on the Gold Coast then.
Yeah, all right, mate. You get it over a beer, you can get it out of me.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
Mate, thanks for hanging on the show. It's been awesome chatting
I appreciate it. Yeah, likewise. Can't wait to hang in on the Gold Coast. And for anyone out there, you're welcome to come along, come and say hello, and we'll send out a few bloody knuckle clusters.
Yeah, and Melbourne, of course, this weekend. Get your tickets. We'll have all the links in the show notes. Brother, hey, have a safe flight, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Cheers, Nev. Take care, mate.
You too, brother. Thank you, man.
See ya.